You're listening to Coupled With, the podcast that helps you take the guesswork out of feeling seen, heard, and valued in your relationship. If you've ever felt stuck in the same arguments, struggled to stay connected, or wondered how to better communicate with your partner, you're in the right place. I'm Dr. Rachel Orlick, a couples therapist and coach, and together, we're going to make relationships make sense. Let's dive in. If a quick "I'm sorry" actually fixed relationships, I'd be out of a job. My clients tell me this all the time. He apologized, but I still feel awful. Why can't I just accept it and move on? And then they feel broken, like something's wrong with them for not being able to snap back into closeness. And you've probably had this experience yourself. Someone offers an apology, and maybe even it happens quickly. And instead of feeling relief, you feel tighter. Like your body is saying, nope, not safe yet. But then your brain piles on. They're apologizing. Why can't I just get over it? And here's the thing that no one tells you. Your body doesn't care about politeness or perfect phrasing. If you're still on high alert, the apology slides right off. So, what's the truth? An apology without safety is like throwing a bandaid on a cut that hasn't been cleaned yet. It looks like repair, but it's actually just covering up the infection underneath. I know, that's kind of gross. That's what we're going to be unpacking today. Why apologies fall flat and what your body is actually asking for before it can let in an apology. And how you can start noticing the difference between words that are soothing and words that just skim right off. Let's talk about what this looks like in real life. Because apologies don't usually collapse in dramatic movie level moments. They unravel in everyday stuff. The small ruptures that pile up until one partner feels like they're just drowning in paper cuts. So the pattern is one person says something sharp, or forgets a commitment, or zones out when you're sharing something really important. And then the other reacts. Maybe it's anger or shutdown, or maybe it's just that hollow ache of invisibility. And then comes the apology. But the apology doesn't connect. Instead of relief, it feels like pressure. The apologizer is thinking, all right, I'm doing the right thing. Can't we move on now? Meanwhile, the receiver is thinking, wait a second. You don't even understand why I'm upset. And here's the kicker. When this happens often enough, the apology itself starts to become a trigger. And instead of hearing it as repair, the listener starts to hear it as a way to shut down the conversation. Like, oh, this is the part where you slap a Band-Aid on it and we don't have to talk about this anymore. That's why so many people say things like, we're fine on the surface, but I just don't feel close. The words are there, maybe even the quote perfect phrasing, but the connection is missing. And the connection, not the speed or the box checking, is what the body is really wired to crave and need. So in this cycle, there's a rupture, and then a rushed apology, and then pressure to forgive, and then growing disconnection. And it's exhausting. I feel exhausted just thinking about it right now. And it leaves both people feeling like they're speaking different languages. One says, I apologized, and the other says, yeah, but I still don't feel okay. And this is the part that gets really twisted in people's minds. When an apology doesn't soothe, most people blame themselves, like they're too sensitive or they can't let things go. That inner critic turns a nervous system truth and need into a personal failing. But the real problem isn't that you're holding a grudge. The real problem is that your body doesn't actually feel safe enough to take the apology in and relax. That's just not weakness and it's not stubbornness. It's your survival system doing its job. So let's reframe that. Apologies aren't the starting line of repair, they're actually further down the track. First comes the recognition, then the safety, and then the apology. Without those earlier steps, the I'm sorry is just like building a house on sand. It's pretty shaky and ultimately unsatisfying. So I can think of a few times in my history with my husband where we've had our conversation. I've shared with him what hurts inside. I've told him about it. And then he says, okay, I'm sorry, I'll do that differently next time. And then I'm just sitting there and still feeling like, huh, well, what just happened here? I don't feel seen. I don't feel heard. And my body is saying, you can't trust this apology. And it's not because I don't trust him, but my nervous system doesn't feel like it's truly been seen yet. And until that happens, my body can't fully relax and take in that repair. So, if you've been telling yourself, I should be able to accept their apology, pause right there because you're not defective and you're not doing this wrong. You're human and you're wired for survival first and connection second. And actually, the two are pretty interconnected. This reframe is about giving yourself permission to need more than just words. Words alone aren't going to regulate your body, and connection starts with safety. So let's zoom out a little bit and look at what's happening under the surface. Because when apologies fall flat, it's not really about the vocabulary that's being used, it's about the state of the nervous system in that exact moment. So, when conflict hits, your body flips into survival mode. That might look like fight, so sharp words, defensiveness. That might look like flight, walking out the door, freeze, going numb and shutting down, or fawn, which is appeasing to calm things down. And none of those responses are actually chosen consciously, they're just reflexes. So, if we can think about your nervous system being a mailbox, and just stay with me. When it's calm and it's grounded, the mail slot is open. It can receive messages like care and love and even apologies. But when the nervous system is in protection mode, the mail slot slams shut. And it doesn't matter how many messages you push against it, it's not going to open or get through. So, this is why things like sorry can feel like static instead of actually feeling healing. Your body is scanning for the am I safe or am I understood? And until those questions are really answered with a resounding yes, no words are going to stick. And both partners often misinterpret this. The apologizer thinks, why can't you just accept my apology? Why can't we just move on? And the receiver is thinking, geez, why doesn't this feel better? When really their body is saying, just not yet. I'm still guarding the door. That's biology. Your nervous system is designed to protect you from harm first, and then when it feels safe, it can open the door to connection. which means that rushing into I'm sorry actually skips the sequence that your body needs in order to feel calm. So let's imagine this in contrast because it's really night and day. On one side, there's the rushed apology. I'm sorry, okay, can we drop it now? Or at least that's what the receiver hears. And the words might technically be there, but the tone is tense, the body language is closed, and the listener's body is going to tighten even more. On the other side, there's a repair attempt that starts with presence. And a partner notices the tension and slows down before speaking, and their voice softens. They pause to really look at the person in front of them. That slowing is what begins to signal safety. I can think of a client where this really applied. She and her partner had had a discussion before coming into session, and they had gone through whatever had happened that had hurt her. And he had said he was sorry, but she didn't feel better. So they come into session and they tell me all about it. And she feels actually really guilty that she doesn't feel better yet. And we take a look at it and we found that she didn't actually feel deeply understood. She knew that her partner saw that she was hurt. She knew that he really felt badly that she was hurting because of something that he did, but she didn't feel like he understood why that hurt her well enough for it not to happen again. So we were able to talk through it and help her communicate to him what she was really afraid of. Once he showed her that he understood, that apology sunk in much deeper. She still felt a little bit tense, but she was able to start forgiving and let him back in. The difference between these two approaches, the rushed apology or really taking the time, is the differences in how it lands. That rushed apology feels like performance. And a grounded apology feels like I can see that you're hurting. I care about that hurt, and I want to meet you there in it. It's the same three words, I am sorry, with a completely different impact. So when the pattern shifts, the apology becomes more than words. It becomes a bridge. And listeners tell me that's when I feel like they finally got it. And my body started to unclench and relax, and I could finally let the repair in. This contrast is really worth noticing because it's not perfect apologies versus bad ones, but disconnected apologies versus embodied ones. When the body senses safety, the words carry more weight. When it doesn't, then it's just noise. So, what do you do with all of this? Because, yes, it is validating to know that your body isn't broken, but most people want a simple way to start shifting this pattern in the moment. It's not a giant overhaul, it's just one clear move. So, here's the practice I want to leave you with today: a two-part self check in. Before you try to accept someone's apology, or before you offer one, pause. Pause and ask yourself these two questions. First, do I feel safe enough in my body right now to let this in? That doesn't mean fully calm, just that your chest isn't clenched tight and your breath isn't stuck in your throat somewhere. Second, do I feel seen enough in this moment to let the words matter? If your partner hasn't named what actually hurt, your body is probably still holding the door shut. So if the answer to either question is no, you don't have to force yourself. You can simply say, I need a little bit more time, or I need to feel more understood first. That's not withholding repair. It's actually creating the conditions where repair can actually work. So that's the takeaway. Not a complicated script, and it's not a magic formula. It's just two questions. Do I feel safe enough? And do I feel seen enough? And if it's a yes, the apology can land. And if it's a no, it's okay to wait. You can keep talking, keep understanding, and try again. This is what I want you to walk away with today. If apologies have felt hollow, it's not because you're bad at forgiveness or because you're too sensitive or demanding. And it's not because your partner is doing something wrong, necessarily. It's because your body is wired to protect first and accept connection later. And forgiveness is part of connection. And no amount of rushed words can shortcut this sequence. Think about what we've covered. Rushed apologies feel like pressure, grounded ones feel like care, and the difference isn't the vocabulary. It's really in the safety underneath. How you create an environment to be seen, understood, and safe before the apology is delivered. When it doesn't, they bounce right off. Our culture uses apology as a way to stop conversations or move things forward more quickly. But what we don't take into account is this. If things are glossed over, then they're just going to sit there and fester over time. It's the infection under the bandaid. That's why our longing for this connection and this understanding makes sense. You don't just want the words. You want the moment to mean something. You want to feel like the door of your nervous system is finally able to creak open instead of having to slam shut to protect you. That desire for the depth, it's not extra, it's actually just human. So if nothing else from this episode, remember this phrase: safety before sorry. It's not a slogan, it's just a truth. Until the body feels grounded enough to receive, repair isn't going to happen. But once the safety is there, even the simplest "I'm sorry" can become a bridge. So remember, you're not broken for needing more. You're human. And your needs for repair that feels real is not too much. It's the exact doorway into deeper connection. If you've been nodding along during this episode thinking, this is exactly what happens in my relationship, but I don't know how to stop it, I made something for you. It's a free 7-day email course called Break the Cycle. Each day I'll walk you through simple steps to stop the same fight from repeating and start rebuilding real connection without shutting down, walking on eggshells, or trying to do it all perfectly. You can sign up at my website. I'll link it in the show notes. It's totally free. This isn't just about communication. It's about breaking patterns that are breaking you. That's it for today's episode of Coupled With. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to hit subscribe so you never miss what's next. And if you found it helpful, please share it with a friend or leave a quick rating and review. It really helps more than you know. And if you're curious about how we might work together or want more resources to strengthen your relationship, head over to my website, www.drrachelorlick.com. You'll find free tools, podcast extras, and ways to go deeper. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time.